There's something strange about sleepovers. They're supposed to be harmless. Warm lights, whispered secrets, cheap pizza, and laughter that drifts long past midnight. But when the lights finally go out, when the house settles into that heavy, unnatural silence, that's when you realize something terrifying. You're not in your own home. You don't know the noises in the walls. You don't know what the shadows usually look like. And you have no idea who or what walks the halls at night. Because when you're sleeping in someone else's house, you're also sleeping inside their nightmares. Tonight, we're diving into 3 real sleepover horror stories. Stories whispered online, retold in fragments, and submitted by viewers who still refuse to sleep at other people's houses. Turn off your lights, pull your blanket closer, and if anyone knocks on your door before the video ends, don't answer it. Ellie never liked old houses. She never liked the way their floors sagged in odd places, or how their windows rattled with the slightest breeze, or the way every corner seemed deeper in shadow than it should have been. But she especially disliked the closets. They always felt inhabited, as if someone had once stepped inside and never really stepped back out. So when Nora invited her for a weekend sleepover at her grandmother's farmhouse, built in the late 1800s, untouched for decades, Ellie hesitated, but she didn't want to seem afraid, and she didn't want Nora to think she was being dramatic. Nora was her closest friend, brave, reckless, the kind of girl who wasn't afraid of anything. So Ellie said yes. The moment they stepped into the farmhouse, Ellie regretted it. The place was dim, lit mostly by warm, weak lamps that cast halos instead of filling the room. The wallpaper peeled like old scabs, revealing darker, older paint beneath. The wooden floors groaned under their weight, as if annoyed to be disturbed. Nora laughed at Ellie's expression. "Don't be like that," she said. "It's not haunted, probably." The probably didn't feel like a joke. Nora's grandmother greeted them with a smile too small for her eyes. She was thin, almost fragile, wearing a cardigan that looked like it might fall apart if touched. But her eyes, they were sharp, watchful, as if she was waiting to see something. "Girls," she said softly, "try not to stay up too late. This house settles at night." Ellie had no idea what that meant, but it lodged itself in her mind like a thorn. The bedroom they'd share was upstairs at the end of a long, creaking hallway. The room itself was cozy enough. 2 small beds, an old vanity, a window facing the fields. But the closet, that was different. It was a walk-in, deep, too deep. The door was old, with a rusted handle and wood that had warped over the years. When Ellie opened it, the smell hit her immediately. Cold, stale, something like damp stone and old cloth. The darkness inside felt thick, like fog that didn't want to let in the light. Nora peered over her shoulder. "It's just a closet," she said, but even she didn't open it fully. They spent the evening watching movies on Nora's tablet, eating chips, laughing, doing everything 13-year-olds do. Gradually, the farmhouse seemed less intimidating, less haunted. The room felt warm, safe, until Nora thought of a game. "Truth or dare?" she asked, grinning. Ellie shook her head. "No way, your dares are insane." "Come on," Nora begged, "just one dare. I promise it won't be crazy." Ellie hesitated, but curiosity and pride won. "Fine," she said. "One." Nora's grin widened. She sat up on her knees and turned toward the closet. "I dare you," she said slowly, "to sit inside the closet, just for 10 minutes, with the door shut." Ellie froze. "No," she said immediately. "No way. It's 10 minutes, not even pitch black. There's a little light that shines under the door, see?" Nora gestured. "I'll sit right here on the bed. You'll hear me the entire time." Ellie swallowed hard. The closet was the only part of the room she still didn't trust. Something about its depth, its coldness, its silence felt wrong. But she'd said yes, and backing out now would make her look scared. So she forced a laugh, stood up, and walked toward the door. 10 minutes, Ellie said. Set a timer. Nora held up her phone. Already ready. The closet door creaked as Ellie pulled it open. The darkness inside seemed to swell, stretching toward her. Her skin prickled. She stepped inside. Cold air wrapped around her legs immediately. Not cool, cold, like stepping into a basement that hadn't been opened in years. She sat down on the wooden floor. Ready? Nora asked. Ellie nodded, even though she wasn't. The door clicked shut. Instant darkness. No sound but her breathing. A second passed, then another. Her eyes adjusted slightly, but the shape of the closet still felt wrong. Too big, too empty, and too full at the same time. She tried to steady her breathing. It's just 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. Outside, Nora giggled loudly. You okay in there? Yep, Ellie called back. Her voice shook only a little. Totally fine. She wasn't. A few seconds passed. Then, a sound. Very soft, very quiet. A low exhale. Behind her. Ellie froze. Her breath caught in her throat. She sat perfectly still, trying to convince herself she'd imagined it. But then she heard it again. A slow, wet inhale. Then a shaky, muffled exhale. Someone was breathing in the closet with her. Her heart seized. She pressed her back against the door, trying to move away from the sound without making noise. Nora, Ellie whispered. What? Nora called back casually. Ellie swallowed. There's something in here, Nora laughed. No, there's not. You're just freaking yourself out. Ellie's throat tightened because the breathing wasn't stopping. Inhale, exhale, slow, wet, wrong, not human. She strained her eyes in the darkness, but the black was complete. She could see nothing, not her hands, not her knees, but she felt something, a presence near the back corner, still, watching. She pressed her ear to the door. Nora, she whispered urgently, let me out. Ellie, the timer hasn't even hit 2 minutes yet. I don't care, open the door. Nora sighed dramatically. Are you seriously? A sudden thud hit the door from inside. Ellie screamed. Nora scrambled off the bed, fumbling for the handle. The door resisted at first, as if someone was pressing against it from the inside. Then it suddenly swung open. Ellie fell forward onto the floor, gasping, trembling. Nora's face turned pale, because the closet door was bulging. The wood had warped outward, as if something inside had pressed its face or hands against it. Ellie backed away fast. What the hell was that? Nora whispered. Ellie shook violently. Something was breathing, I swear, right next to me. Nora glanced at the dark closet. The cold air was leaking out invisible wisps now, drifting across the floor. That's, not possible, Nora said, but her voice was thin. The girls bolted downstairs to tell Nora's grandmother. They found her sitting at the kitchen table, sipping tea like she'd been waiting. She set her cup down slowly. You opened that closet, she said. Not a question. Nora nodded shakily. What's in there? Her grandmother leaned back, eyes heavy with something that looked like sadness. It's been doing that, she whispered, since the night my husband died. Ellie stared. Doing what? Her grandmother didn't blink. Breathing. The kitchen seemed to fall silent. The house itself felt like it was holding its breath. Nora was the first to speak. Grandma, why didn't you warn us? Her grandmother looked toward the stairs, her voice barely above a whisper. Because warnings don't help, she said. It always wants to be heard. Ellie's skin prickled. What is it? Her grandmother shook her head slowly. I don't know, she murmured. But it isn't my husband, and it isn't human. Tyler never liked birthday parties, but he especially didn't like sleepovers. They always started fun, loud music, cake, games, kids running around, like they were fueled by sugar and chaos. But once the lights went off, Tyler always felt like the dark was too big, too heavy, too alive. And on Lucas's 10th birthday, that feeling was worse than usual. Lucas lived in an old house, a big 2-story place with narrow hallways, creaking floors, and framed family portraits that watched you no matter where you stood. But the living room was cozy enough, and that's where Lucas's parents set up the sleeping bags. 5 kids in a row, packed like sardines, whispering and giggling long after midnight. The room smelled like popcorn and frosting. Glow from the TV flickered faintly. Everything was normal, until it wasn't. By 3 a.m., the other boys were asleep. The TV was off. The laughter had faded. The fireplace embers glowed a faint orange. Tyler lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Something felt off, heavy. The air felt colder than it should have been. Then he heard it, a soft sound, wet, broken, like someone trying to breathe through tears, crying. Tyler's heart stuttered. He held his breath. The sound was coming from the edge of the room, near Lucas's sleeping bag. He pushed himself up on his elbows. What he saw made his stomach twist. A girl was crouched at the foot of Lucas's sleeping bag. A girl he had never seen before. Her hair hung around her face in tangled ropes. Her shoulders shook as she cried. She wore a simple, old-fashioned dress, pale and torn, like something from a thrift store no one wanted to buy. She didn't belong to the birthday party. She didn't belong to any of the guests. She didn't belong to this house. Tyler froze, unable to speak. He watched her small fingers clutch the end of Lucas's sleeping bag, her knuckles white, her head bowed low as quiet sobs rattled out of her. For a moment, Tyler thought, maybe she's a cousin. Maybe Lucas didn't tell us someone else was staying the night. But then he noticed something. Her feet, they were bare and dirty, as if she had walked in mud or something thicker, and the carpet beneath her was wet. Tyler suddenly felt dizzy. The girl's sobs grew quieter, then louder, then quieter again, like someone adjusting a radio signal. Something felt wrong, very wrong. He swallowed hard. His voice came out barely above a whisper. "Hey, are you okay?" The girl stopped instantly. She didn't look up. She didn't make a sound. She simply froze. Tyler's stomach twisted. A cold shiver crawled down his spine. He waited, terrified, as silence filled the room like thick fog. Then, without moving her body at all, the girl's head began to turn. Slowly, too slowly. Her chin moved first, then her cheek, then her mouth, then her eyes. Her neck didn't twist like a human neck. It rotated like her skull wasn't attached to anything, like it was balanced on a stick, like there were no bones, no resistance. At 90 degrees, Tyler wanted to scream. At 120 degrees, tears filled his eyes. At 180 degrees, he realized her hair hadn't moved at all, only the skin beneath it. Her eyes, milky, swollen, rimmed with red, locked onto his, and she smiled. Her lips stretched too wide, too thin, too forced. Tyler scrambled backwards so fast his sleeping bag twisted around him. The girl's mouth moved. She whispered something, but it wasn't in English, and it wasn't meant for him. Lucas's sleeping bag twitched. The girl looked back down at it. Tyler felt a scream rising in his throat. He opened his mouth, and the attic door slammed above them. Every kid jolted awake. The girl vanished, not faded, not ran, gone. The wet stain on the carpet remained. Tyler trembled violently as the other boys groggily sat up. "What happened?" one mumbled. "Why's the carpet wet?" another whispered. No one saw the girl. No one except Tyler. Lucas sat up last, rubbing his eyes. "Dude, why are you screaming?" Tyler didn't answer. He couldn't, because as Lucas shifted inside his sleeping bag, the fabric stuck to something. Something thick, something dark. He unzipped the bag halfway, and the smell hit them. Iron, cold, blood. Tyler's scream echoed through the house. Lucas wasn't moving. His skin was gray, cold, his eyes half open, his lips blue. He looked drained. Tyler fell backward, gagging. The room erupted into chaos. Kids screamed. One ran to get Lucas's parents. Another puked into a sleeping bag. Lucas's mother burst into the room seconds later. She saw her son and collapsed to her knees, screaming his name. Lucas's father shouted at the kids to open windows, to call 911, to do anything. Tyler ran to the far wall, trembling violently. He didn't want to look. He didn't want to see the sleeping bag again. But he saw something else. The wet stain on the carpet. It wasn't mud, it was a trail. Leading away from Lucas's sleeping bag, leading toward the shadowed corner of the room, where something small crouched. Tyler's breath caught. Two pale hands pressed against the wall. A small body hunched low, hair hanging like seaweed, a mouth too wide, and those eyes. She was watching, waiting. Her neck was still facing him, rotated the wrong way. Tyler choked out a sob. Lucas's mother screamed again, shaking her son's body. The girl in the corner tilted her head. Then she mouthed a word. Mine. A soft crack echoed, as if joints snapping back into place, and her head rotated back to normal. The police arrived minutes later. Paramedics pronounced Lucas gone at the scene. Tyler tried to tell them about the girl, but the moment he described her, Lucas's mother began crying harder. She grabbed Tyler's wrist so tightly it hurt. "Don't," she whispered. "Don't say another word." He didn't understand, not until Lucas's father returned from the kitchen holding an old photograph in his hand. He showed it to Tyler. A girl, long dark hair, old-fashioned dress, bare feet. Lucas's older sister. She had died 3 years ago in that same living room, during a storm, while sitting at the foot of Lucas's crib. Tyler's breath stopped. "She never moved on," Lucas's father whispered. "She stayed. She always stayed. She just loved him too much to let go." Tyler felt sick because he remembered what she whispered, and now it made sense. Mine. The police ruled Lucas's death as unexpected cardiac arrest. The house grew quieter. Sleepovers stopped. No one spoke of the girl again. But Tyler knew. She hadn't cried because she was sad. She had cried because she knew what she was about to take. And somewhere, in a dark corner of a house filled with old toys and unlabeled photographs, she was still waiting. Evan never liked sleepovers. He always felt like nighttime belonged to a different version of the world, one where shadows moved too deliberately and silence carried intentions. But when his childhood friend Lucas invited him to a sleepover on the night of his 13th birthday, Evan didn't have much reason to say no. They had been friends since kindergarten, and Lucas's parents had recently renovated their house after moving to the edge of the old pine forest that stretched endlessly behind their backyard. Evan's mother dropped him off just after sunset. The horizon was a bruised shade of purple, and the dense tree line behind the house stood like a wall. A cold wind hissed through the branches as Evan got out of the car. "Just call me if you need anything," his mom said, her voice slightly uneasy. "It looks isolated out here." Evan nodded, forcing a smile. "I'll be fine." Lucas greeted him at the porch, practically vibrating with excitement. He was a tall and skinny kid with a mop of messy hair and the kind of chaotic energy that always made adults nervous. "Dude, finally, come inside. I have snacks, blankets, scary movies, everything," Lucas said, pulling Evan in. The house felt warm and lived in. Family photos along the walls, a TV glowing softly in the living room, the smell of popcorn in the air. Lucas' parents were around, moving between the kitchen and their bedroom, but they didn't linger. It felt normal, almost too normal. As nighttime settled deeper, the forest outside grew darker, swallowing what little of the backyard the moon tried to illuminate. Evan tried not to look at it through the glass sliding door. Something about the movement of those pine branches felt too slow, too heavy. By 11:30 p.m., Lucas's parents had gone to bed. The boys built their blanket fort, set up a dim lamp inside, and huddled together watching a horror movie. Everything was going fine, right up until the scratching started. At first, Evan thought it was part of the movie. A faint, intermittent scraping sound, slow, deliberate, almost curious. It came from behind the sliding glass door. Lucas paused the movie. "Did you hear that?" Evan nodded slowly. "Maybe it's a raccoon." But the sound didn't match the chaotic movements of an animal. It was almost rhythmic, like someone dragging a single fingernail across the glass. Evan's heart thumped. "Lucas, turn on the porch light." Lucas silently reached for the remote and clicked on the bright exterior light. The backyard flooded with artificial glow. And there, on the very edge of it, stood a girl wearing a green hoodie. Her head was tilted slightly downward, her hood casting a shadow over most of her face. She wasn't close to the door, but she wasn't far either. She just stood there, her arms limp at her sides, her posture completely still. "No way," Lucas whispered. "Who the hell is that?" Evan felt the air leave his chest. The girl didn't twitch, didn't breathe, didn't step forward or back. It was like someone had placed a mannequin at the edge of the light. Then the porch light flickered, just once. When the bulb steadied again, the girl was closer, 3 steps closer. Lucas stumbled backward, knocking over some popcorn. "Dude, we didn't even look away." For a moment, they just stared. Her hoodie was faded, dirty, mud stained the sleeves. Her jeans were torn at the knees, and her hair, long, dark, and stringy, hung over her face, hiding everything except her mouth. Her lips looked pale, colorless, almost dry, and they were moving, just slightly, like she was whispering something, but there was no sound. Evan's voice cracked when he finally spoke. "Turn off the light." "What? Why?" "Just do it." Lucas clicked the switch. Darkness swallowed the backyard again. The boys held their breath. The TV inside the blanket fort cast a soft glow, but it did nothing to illuminate the outside. Seconds passed, long, suffocating seconds. Lucas whispered, "Do you think she's gone?" Evan didn't answer. He didn't want to. Then, knock. A soft but unmistakable tap on the glass. Not loud, not aggressive, just a single knock. Both boys froze, then another. Knock. Evan felt tears prick the corners of his eyes. Whatever was outside wasn't an animal, and it wasn't a prank. The knocks came with perfect spacing, too calm, too deliberate. Lucas whimpered, "I'm waking my parents." But as he started to crawl out of the blanket fort, the knocking turned into dragging, a slow, gliding streak across the glass, moving from one end of the door to the other, as if someone was feeling their way along it. Evan clutched Lucas's arm. "Don't go." But Lucas was already scrambling toward his parents' room. Evan stayed frozen, his eyes locked on the door's shadowy outline. Then, the porch light flicked back on by itself, and she was standing right at the glass. Her face was pressed against it, distorted slightly. Her hands were flat against the surface. Her lips were moving faster now, her breath fogging the glass. And finally, Evan heard it. She was whispering his name. "Evan! Evan!" His stomach dropped. His whole body locked. His tongue felt glued to the roof of his mouth. Lucas returned with his father, who stormed in with confusion, turning into alarm as soon as he saw the girl. "Kids, move away from the door!" He yanked open a drawer, pulling out a heavy flashlight. He flicked it on and shined it directly on the girl. But the light passed straight through her. She wasn't casting a shadow. Lucas's dad froze. The disbelief on his face was unmistakable. "What the?" Evan felt the world tilt. The girl's pale, cracked lips kept moving, whispering his name through the glass. Her face pressed harder against it. Too hard. Hard enough her nose should have broken. Hard enough her skin should have torn. But she remained unchanged. Slowly, painfully, she tilted her head upward and finally revealed her eyes. They were hollow, completely black, like empty sockets. Lucas's father took one step back, terror breaking through his rationality. "That's not a girl," he whispered. The porch light flickered violently. Evan blinked, and she was gone, all at once. The yard was empty. There were no footprints, no lingering fog on the glass. Nothing, just darkness. The adults called the police, though none of them knew what to even report. Officers came, searched the area with flashlights, checked the security cameras. But the outside camera facing the backyard had gone black hours earlier, almost as if something had covered it from the moment the boys started their movie. Everyone spent the rest of the night awake and huddled in the living room. Evan didn't sleep. He couldn't. Every time he blinked, he saw her mouth moving, whispering his name without sound. Morning came eventually, pale and quiet. The police left after finding nothing unusual. Lucas's parents made pancakes none of them touched. Evan's mother arrived looking frantic, hugging him tighter than ever. He thought leaving the house would calm his nerves. He was wrong. When he climbed into his mom's car and shut the door, he noticed something on the window beside him. On the glass, barely visible, was the faint outline of a handprint. Small, slender, pressed from the outside, the same size as the girl's. Evan swallowed hard and looked at the tree line one last time before the car pulled away. And there, just inside the shadows, he saw her, the girl in the green hoodie, watching him, not moving, not blinking, still whispering his name. Sleepovers aren't meant to be scary. They're supposed to be the safest kind of adventure. Staying up late, playing games, whispering secrets until your eyelids grow heavy. But sometimes, you wake up in the middle of the night and realize you're not the only one awake. Sometimes you hear breathing that doesn't belong to anyone in the room. Sometimes a shadow moves even though everyone else is fast asleep. And sometimes, the horror doesn't come from the house you're visiting. Sometimes, it follows you home. If you enjoyed tonight's stories, make sure to leave a light on tonight. You never know who might be watching you sleep. Good night.